at 2 Minute Tennis. Thank you so much for joining me for this live stream. Hey, really quickly, in the description, you can check out my free Fix 20 Mistakes That Are Holding You Back from Winning More Matches program. It's in the top line of the description. If you're on your phone, just tap the screen, have the title of this live stream pop up, tap that title, and then the description pops up, and you'll see the link in the first line to help you win more matches. There's so many common mistakes that players make, and I see over and over again when I analyze players. Hey, thanks so much for being here. We've already got 2 people on with 1 like. Thank you so much. Don't be afraid to hit that like button. So earlier today, I got a question on YouTube in one of the comments of a video I made years ago. And it was, why does it matter if you pronate after contact on a serve? So, so let's go over this. First off, you have to understand that the contact is about like 3 milliseconds, right? 4 milliseconds. We're talking thousandths of a second. So you have to realize that the contact is such a short period of time that really all we're talking about is what happens before and what happens after, because there's nothing you're really going to do during the contact. Hello from Germany. Hello. Thanks so much. So when you are serving, whether it's a flat serve, a topspin serve, a kick serve, you want to, and make sure you type your comments in, your questions. I'm going to get to them in just a moment. Every time you serve, flat, slice, topspin, it doesn't matter, you're going to pronate. Now, when you're hitting a slice serve, hello from Brazil. Thank you, Joel. Thanks so much for being here. I have a student in Portugal, and his first name is Joel. So when you're hitting a, let's say, slice serve, you're going to be pronating just before you hit, but still lead with the leading edge during contact. And then most of the pronation is after you strike the ball. So pronation on a serve is just one continuous motion. And at the speed you're swinging, flat, slice, topspin, it doesn't matter. That means you're going to be pronating after you hit the ball. There's no way to pronate and then like the moment you hit, at that exact moment, to just completely stop, right? It's just not the way it works. And when it comes to a slice serve, here's the way you want to think of it. When you're pronating or working on pronation on the slice serve, the swing thought, this isn't actually what happens, but the swing thought has to be cut the ball, then pronate. That's the swing thought. It's not what happens. But I always tell people my job isn't to be right. My job is to be helpful. So my job is to get you to do it correctly, not just to say, hey, I taught them. It was their fault for not getting it right. No. It's my responsibility to help you. So here's what's going to be helpful. Think of cutting the ball, then turning the racket. Cutting the ball, then turning the racket. If you think of it that way, then what you will end up doing is just before you hit, you will start to turn the racket for pronation, but it's late enough that you're still leading with the front edge, getting the cut, but now you're going to get the speed too that's going to make the ball curve. But most of the pronation on a slice serve happens after you hit the ball. But remember, it is one continuous motion. So there's no way to stop, right? Or you don't want to stop. Really quickly, if you just got here, if you look in the first line, should the elbow go? Hey, Glenn, I'm not sure what you just wrote there. Should your elbow go something? Um, but so go ahead and just kind of make it a full sentence, and I'll be able to help you out. If you just got here, in the first line of the description, I have the fix 20 mistakes that are costing you matches. It's free. Just click the link. And you can access that program on my website. Check it out. It's awesome. And these are 20 common mistakes, from footwork to strategy, ground strokes, serves, volleys. 20 common mistakes that are holding you back from winning more matches. So click the link, go to it right now. And in fact, if you do, I will shout you out during the live stream. So I can just check it out right here when you do. All right. So I have it up. So when you grab the fix 20 mistakes in the first line of the description, if you're on your device, just tap the screen. When the title pops up, just click the title, the description pops up, click the link. You'll see it right in the first line. And then I'll shout you out. All right. All right. Let's see what questions we got here. Pronation for pronation for motion, pronation for life. What about the thumb facing inside and facing out when starting and finishing the serve? VP, do you mean like this move? Like, are you talking about this move? We used to call it milk the cow, milk the cow, right? Thumb down, thumb down. If you struggle with pronation, by the way, just even like physically, it's not super easy for me to pronate and really get that kind of like long axis rotation of my shoulder. It gets very, very uncomfortable for me because I'm not very, yeah, VP. It's thumb down, thumb down. That's what you're looking to do. Just don't hit flat. Like when you hit a flat serve, like flat serves aren't flat. Um, Flat serves have spin. Like look at Sampras, his flat serve had tons of spin, over 2,000 RPM on his flat serve. So you don't want to think of hitting flat on a flat serve. You want to think of somewhat cutting it. But you need to help with the front arm dropping during forehand stroke. Oh, 100%. Guitar man. Oh, that's what it's to me, it's a top five mistake in all of tennis is the arm dropping. But back to this pronation idea and getting that full arm rotation. If you struggle making that move, bend your elbow after you hit the ball. So after you serve, bend your elbow like this. You'll see, look at Shelton when he's done serving, or not done serving, but during the follow through, his arm does not stay straight like Federer. His arm, let me bend down here. His arm is bent, then straight, then bent. And you have to think of the elbow pointing up. So when you're done hitting your serve, think of pointing your elbow up. Now you can still follow through, but that's a great, easy way to snap the forearm. So yeah, let's talk about the hand dropping. So did you know that you can tell the level of the player you're watching, even if it's just a still picture? You're just looking at a picture of someone hitting a forehand. You can tell the level of the player by simply looking at the height of their non-hitting hand. So if someone's hitting a forehand and you see them like this, their non-hitting hand is down here, low level of play. If when someone's hitting a ball and their non-hitting hand is up here, it's a high level of play. The reason this matters is it's all about body rotation. You see a lot of videos from really well-respected coaches on social media, and they'll talk about helping you to rotate the body into the forehand and rotate the hips. And it's incredibly important that you do that. But do you know, I don't know if I'm going to say never, never say never, right? I don't think, I'll say it this way, I don't think I have ever seen a coach actually address the problem. If you are someone who cannot turn your hips and body into a forehand, I want you to blame your non-hitting hand, because if you're the type of player who reaches and kind of like looks out like you're going to grab the ball on the forehand, and then as you hit, your non-hitting hand drops, that will impede hip turn and you will not be able to rotate the ball, rotate into the ball. So here's what you want to think of. When you hit the ball, wave to the opponent. So take the racket back with both hands. In fact, you can even practice this from the side. Think of taking the racket back with just your non-hitting hand on the throat of the racket. And then as the racket drops, your non-hitting hand goes forward. That's the relationship between the racket and the non-hitting hand. So see this? See how my non-hitting hand is going forward and the racket's going down? Watch Djokovic, watch Alcaraz. You'll see as the racket goes down, the non-hitting hand clears. And then when they hit the ball, when Djokovic hits the ball, he looks like he is waving to the opponent. So here's how you drill this. And I'm going to do this right in front of you. You can get a foam ball, and I'm just going to wave to the wall as I bump. So I'm just bumping as I wave. You can see this hand waving. I'm waving to the wall as I bump the ball, right? I'm getting used to the fact that I'm waving and hitting, because when you strike the ball, you want to have that look. Low level players have their non hitting hand low. Medium level players have their non hitting hand medium. High level players have their non hitting hand high. As your hand drops, have you ever seen like a very, like almost a beginner or like very low level player at a local tennis club or local courts? You'll see they almost look like they're hugging themselves. They're in a straight jacket and their arms are in this position. The racket should go back with both hands. And then when you strike, you should look like you're waving to the opponent. And that's one of the reasons why I like teaching people to just catch the racket the way Alcaraz does when he's practicing, the way Serena did, Dominic Thiem, because it just promotes that waving. But here's just a drill you've got to do. Just bump the ball and wave as you bump. And this will train you to have your hand here rather than here. You don't want your non-hitting hand down here. You want the non-hitting hand up here as you're practicing. That'll ingrain that at contact, you want to have that look. That's how you make sure that you turn your hips while you're uncoiling. Good question. Yeah. So struggling with the racket drop. One of the things you have to think of with Alcaraz. So Alcaraz turns on the forehand, and his hand, elbow, and shoulder are all a similar height. He kind of elbows someone behind him, where you can see the elbow protrude back past the body line. So his elbow's not here; his elbow is here. But think of it this way: with Alcaraz, you're going to turn, and then the arm is bent, and you can think of just straightening your arm. So the arm is bent, the arm is straight, and then you hit. I am definitely not someone who forces students to have a bent elbow at contact or a straight arm. Like I know some coaches like you got to get the arm straight. Well, tell that to Djokovic. His arm is bent. Tell that to Serena. Her arm is bent at contact. Yes, Nadal and Fed and Alcaraz have their arm straight, but not everyone has the arm straight. So straightening the arm down, yes, straightening the arm as the rack is going down. That's going to take the racket down. I started to lose against pushers, club level. Any advice to overcome this? Yeah. So first off, when you're playing a pusher or anybody, you have to think of the three ways you can play someone in singles. You got it. I'm happy to help. So you have to think of and look, if you want to support me, if you're like, Ryan, I love when you go live and I want to support you, you know how you can do it? Click the link in the description and check out my 20 fixes that are, 20 mistakes, or how to fix 20 mistakes that are costing you matches. That's how you can support me, is you can improve your game by going through the 20 fixes. These are all 20 mistakes that I see that are costing recreational players tons of mistakes. All right, here's how you play in singles. You're either both back, or you're up, or your opponent's up. That's it. Like, you don't play both up in singles and you're just like volleying back and forth and saying that doesn't happen. You're either rallying back and forth, you're at the net, or your opponent's at the net. That's it. So if you're playing a pusher, you're usually dealing with someone who's staying behind the baseline. And if you're dealing with someone who's staying behind the baseline, guess what? That's where they're comfortable. If they're comfortable behind the baseline, then hit short and bring them in. And don't think of hitting short because you want to hit a winner or you want to hit an Alcaraz drop shot. That is simply not what we're attempting. We are attempting to create this like fish out of water movement into the court where they are not comfortable coming up. Pushers come to the net to get balls that that go into the net, and they come to the net to shake hands at the end of the match. That's when they come to the net. If they constantly came to the net or loved going to the net, they would be called an all court player. So, very simply put, you're not going to beat a pusher by staying behind the baseline. You're not going to beat a pusher by blasting winners. Pushers are usually quick. They can chase down your ball, and they're sneaky, quick, and fast. Maybe they don't look like Usain Bolt running 100 miles an hour, but they just seem to get to a lot of balls and they give themselves time to get back into the court. So either you're coming forward and putting pressure on them, or if you don't like coming to the net, then hit short on purpose and bring them forward. And one of the best times to do that is on the return of serve. So they serve to you and you purposely hit it short. The moment you return serve, especially a second serve, when you're standing inside the court and just boop, if you're playing someone and you're thinking, man, they want this match to last 6 hours. Like I'm not interested in a 6 hour match. to the net. Now, when you bring them to the net, please realize that you're not dealing with Martina Navratilova or John McEnroe or Tim Henman or Edberg or Becker or Rafter. You're not dealing with someone who is super comfortable at the net. So why in the world are you then going to avoid them? Just involve them. They don't want to be there, so don't fall into their trap of avoiding them. This is one of the reasons why players, they hit their lobs long all the time. If you're the type of player who you lob over your opponent, but the ball always lands like a foot or two long, you're like, how do I get the ball to go down into the court? You don't. And what I mean by that is, why are you trying to avoid them? Why not just lob super high? I call it the 2.5 second lob, because you lob the ball up and the ball stays in the air for 2.5 seconds off your racket until they contact, which, by the way, is incredibly high and a very long period of time. If you ask most people, hey, when you lob the ball, does the ball stay in the air for 2.5 seconds? 90% of people go, oh, yeah, all the time. Most people think their lob stays in the air for 6 seconds, 7 seconds. There's not a chance that you lob that high, especially if you play indoors. A 2.5 second lob comes within like a couple inches of the ceiling when you play indoors. That's how high it is. And outdoors, obviously, you can go much higher. Instead of trying to avoid them, just lob super high and let them screw up the overhead. Now, what a lot of players say after that is, yeah, but Ryan, they'll just let the ball bounce and then they'll hit the overhead. When was the last time any of you took a lesson with a pro and he or she practiced really high lobs that you let bounce and then you hit an overhead from no man's land or the baseline? The pros make those shots look really easy. So in our mind, we think they're easy. That type of overhead is incredibly difficult. And just cracking a winner on that, it's not going to happen. So playing a pusher is all about, are you going to have more success with you coming to the net or you bringing them to the net? You're not going to beat a pusher by playing both back. And when they come to the net, make them volley. Half the time they'll screw it up. The other half they'll hit a weak volley. Now you come inside the court. Now the passing shot is so much easier to hit. And now you're passing on your terms. Great question. Be sure, by the way, to click the link in the link that is the first line in the description. So let's see. We got Jamie Lambert. Thank you so much for picking up. And who we got here? Is it Pika? I don't know how else to pronounce that name. Do. Hi, Irene. Thank you so much. Awesome. Just shouting out the people as I said I would. All right, let's see what we got here. So thank you so much. Hey, Ryan, my partner and I have a doubles tourney in the next few weeks. Can you tell us what um, what the St. Andrew formation and I have never heard of the St. Andrew formation. Um, Olivia, what do you think of late hitting concept, unit turn until the ball bounces? Think of late hitting concept, so maintaining unit turn. That's only great if the ball is very slow, but if you're waiting for the ball to bounce and you're staying in the unit turn, you're not going to be able to take the ball on the rise. You're not going to be able to handle depth or pace. So it's only on a very slow ball that you're able to do that. If you're waiting for the ball to bounce and you're still in your unit turn, and you're expecting to be able to take a ball on the rise, you have no chance. It'll never happen. The pros don't do that. The when the ball is coming in very quickly and deep, they will not stay in the unit turn. The unit turn, where you hunt and probe around and then you hit from that position, they only stay in that position. If it's a slow ball, or maybe like the ball was float, like somebody floats it with slice, and they can probe around and move around it and just blast that ball, that's when that works and that's fine. But it's not something that you base the timing of your swing on. All right, let's go back to the question here. All right, the I formation. Yeah. Let's talk about I formation. So the I formation, let's do this. Let's do an offset, right? Let's do an offset formation a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of the I formation because you got to get down really low and people aren't always the quickest to get up. And so I'm not even worried about that. Let's do this. Obviously, the video is reversed. I'm usually much better looking than this, but YouTube, they did me dirty and they reversed me, so I end up looking like this. But this is the server, the server's partner, the returner's partner, and the returner. So this is the conventional way that you play. But let's talk about this positioning. Let's talk about this positioning right here. This is a positioning that I want you to attempt, especially on the ad side, right? Especially on the ad side, which is what I'm showing you here. So realize something. Your opponents, you can like fool them into hitting to the net player. And the way you do that is by serving to a particular side of their body. So if you are playing in this position, the server's in the singles position, the server's partner, instead of being in the middle of the box, they move over and they kind of have like their foot, maybe their right foot on the center service line. What you can do is purposely serve right at the outside wing. For a righty, that's their backhand. You're going to serve. Let me move this because that light is a little. There we go. I think that's a little better. There's a light right above, and you're getting the reflection of that light. So you're going to serve directly. That's a right-hander. That's their backhand, but it doesn't really matter if it's forehand or backhand. But you're going to serve to the outside wing because that ball gets yanked cross court to the net player all the time, and then you nail this person in the shins over and over again. See, if you get in this position, this offset or like kind of Australian, whatever, but it's more of an offset where it's kind of like what is it called? The I formation. The I formation is more like this, where this person is the serve's going right over their head, but you got to crouch really low and you got to be able to move up very quickly, which isn't always the easiest thing. So I just like doing this. What you want to do is not serve to the inside ground stroke. The inside ground stroke, being a right-hander, that would, if they're right-handed, that's their forehand. That ball gets yanked down the line, and you're just serving to the side where they're going to hit down the line, and they're not going to ever give you the net player any balls. So you got to serve to the outside ground stroke, and the outside ground stroke gets yanked right at the net player, and then you nail it right at that person's legs. So you can do that obviously on the deuce side, but if you're playing a righty, it's really nice to be able to serve to the ad side player's backhand if they're right-handed, and then that ball gets pulled right to the net player, and then it's all pre-planned. The ball's going to come to you and you nail it right at the legs of the opposing net person. They have no time to react. Hey Ryan, do you recommend toss in front or toss to the side? I just had a conversation with this one of my students. um, I did a match analysis for him, and he's doing more lessons. He's one of my members, uh, and of my website, 2MinuteTennis. And we were just having a phone call, like texting back and forth. I was leaving him voice memos and answering some questions. And he was talking about this idea of like the 45-degree angle toss to the net post, or more along the baseline where you can kind of toss it like a J. That's the J toss. And I told him, look, whatever you prefer is going to be just fine. I used to be very like hard and fast. Like you need to use a J toss, but some people don't like a J toss, and so I'm not going to fight it. Serena does not use a J toss, where you see like a JJ Wolf or even an Ivo Karlovic will bring the ball back kind of by their groin and then toss it into the court. So either one is fine. I'm a big fan, and I use the J toss or the candy cane because it's like you're drawing the letter J. You can see the ball is drawing a letter J. It's always nice to do that because then the ball is behind your shoulder. And when the ball is behind your shoulder, it's very easy to toss into the court. When you toss forward, then it's very easy to toss backward, right? Your arm is a radius. So if you're going up, this is why beginners always toss behind them, because they toss in front, but actually as they toss, the ball goes behind them and like, where's the ball? So if you want to use the Serena, like going straight at the net post, that's fine. Just make sure you let go low enough that the ball actually goes forward. If you hold on too long, that ball's going to go backward. But I'm a big fan of the coil. I have a low toss personally. I have a low toss. So I pull the ball back even by my back hip, by the way, and then I toss into the court. It's not as fast, but it's kind of that Roscoe Tanner like serve. Roscoe Tanner had that same type of toss. So to each their own, right? All right, let's see what we got here. You teach backhand left side of the letter V for right-handed players. I see Nadal also left side of letter V. Can you explain, because my daughter is also left-handed? Yeah, so what you have to understand is there is a way of like snapping your wrists into the shot, or not. So you'll see Nadal kind of make this move, and then you'll see Djokovic not. So I'm a big fan of just copying the Djokovic type of swing. Um, Djokovic is not making this move as he hits, which is finishing with with that side of the V, as a lefty. I'm sorry, that was as a righty. Here's as a. I'm sorry, this was as a lefty. Sorry, the camera's reversed, so I'm trying to figure this out right in front of you. But as like Djokovic is finishing like this, where uh, Nadal's going to be like this a little bit. Anytime you can use less wrist, it's a good thing, right? So you've got someone who is using a technique that basically requires you to be a world class athlete, and you're in Nadal, and then you're seeing someone like Djokovic who's using a technique that does not require you to be a world class athlete. That's the irony of like Serena's swings and Djokovic. Djokovic's technique is so simple and basic. There's not like Shapovalov or Jack Sock type of swings or Kyrgios types of swings. It's much simpler, which means what you can duplicate. And I mean, time has proven him to be one of the greats. I love your point analysis videos, but sometimes I feel like it goes a bit over my head. Hey, it's always At. It's always a good thing to be in a situation where there's more to learn, right? If if every time I made an analysis video, you're like, "Ugh," this is so easy. What's up, B man? Good to see you here. Um, that's a good thing. Or you always want to be in a place where you can improve and learn more. Yeah, let me see. You had I've been playing a bit over a year and tier three. At what point should I start thinking about tactics and strategy? Is it pointless until my comfortable enough with my technique? No way. You got to start now. Oh my goodness. You're only as strong as your weakest link, right? So if three O's are working on their technique and they're working on their footwork and they know where to hit low volleys and they know the most important lob to hit um, and they know where to move in doubles and where to look in doubles and everything. Yeah, you'll be behind. So just reach out, send me an email, Ryan at 2MinuteTennis.net, if you want me to analyze your matches. Send me a match on SwingVision or whatever, and we can talk about it. And I'll go through the entire match. I'll make it like a 30-minute to hour-long lesson, teaching you like exactly what to do in every situation. Will be the most valuable lesson you'll ever take. Yeah, you got. Oh, sorry. All right, I closed out YouTube. All right, let's go. Okay, let's see what you're talking about here, Jam. Let's see what we got here. Should I always move on my toes and recover on toes for heels when tossing legs just before hitting? Yeah, you're going to be on your toes. You're not going to, yeah, it's your toes. Your heels are not on the ground when you're pushing up on the serve because when you bend, it's like this. Your heels come off. Yep. So you're not going to be like on your heels jumping. You're going to be on the balls of your foot. Yeah. Good question. I think uh, thank you, thank you. All right, let's see here. Oh goodness. Okay, Guitar Man. I don't know if Guitar Man is still here. Having trouble with the proper like back scratch racket drop on the serve. Any remedies? Okay, let's talk about this. So I just did a full serve analysis for a student. Oof, 3 days ago. He's out in California. He was really struggling with the racket drop, right? And like no racket drop. The racket did not get lower than his ear. Okay. I taught him something a bit counterintuitive. Um, the idea is that the swing needs to be loose and relaxed and more helicopter like, more lasso like than vertical. Okay. So let's talk about this. I wish you know what this is bad of me. I wish I had a sock with tennis balls in it. I could do it for like, I could just do that in like a minute, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use my phone charger, right? My Apple Watch charger. Okay. I want this to be like the path of the racket. Okay. What many players think is that the racket goes like this. I don't know if you can see that. They think the racket goes up, down, up, down, up, down. In fact, the gentleman who I just taught a few days ago, he set me his serve. I put him side by side with numerous pros, showing him what he was doing correctly, but then also what he needed to change. A couple of the videos he sent me, he was shadow swinging, and his shadow swing was like this. It was down and back up. If you have that thinking, or scratch the back, if you have that thinking, you will not have a racket drop. The irony of the racket drop is if you try to shove the racket down your back or scratch your back, then you're not going to have a good serve or a good racket drop. And in fact, the back scratch idea, and I know AT just said it, but the back scratch idea is a myth. You don't actually want your racket anywhere near your back. The racket gets thrown away from the back. It doesn't go near your back. It goes away from the back. As Vic Braden said, don't scratch your back, scratch a friend's back. It's like somebody standing next to you and you're scratching their back. The racket's nowhere near your own back. So like, obviously you understand what I mean by nowhere near. It's not like it's 9 feet away, but it really is not anywhere near your back. So the swing path actually is better thought as a lasso. Yeehaw, right? You can see my phone or my watch charger. It's more like this. When you are serving, I want you to realize that yes, your racket is drawing a circle, but I want you to attempt serving with your racket being a circle like a lasso. Interestingly enough, when you do this with even a little bit of leg drive, you will get the racket drop. But if on your serve, you're tossing and then trying to shove your racket down your back, there's nowhere else for it to go. I mean, what happens if you shove the racket down your back? Like, how does it come back up? It's not an elevator going down to the lobby in a building and then coming back up again. It's not like an elevator shaft, like going down and then up. It's circular. The service motion is circular. So if you're trying to drop the racket down your back, there's nowhere for the racket to go once it goes down. That's why it won't go down. And that's why you'll keep the racket up. If you think of in a counterintuitive way, just keeping your hand, yes, your hand, and don't be afraid of too high of an elbow. If you're worried about the racket drop, don't worry about the height of the elbow at the moment. Just get the circular nature of your hand and racket, thinking of it staying above your head, and you're going to lasso, yeehaw, the service motion. You will notice how loose and fast you start serving. And then when you add leg drive, that throws the racket down a bit. But instead of the swing being so vertical, like this, up, down, up, down, up, down. And instead of the racket path being like a lasso, yeehaw, you'll get like a 45-degree angle like this. I don't know if is that translating on the video? I don't know. Can you see how it's kind of like at a 45-degree angle, right? Halfway between vertical and horizontal. If you look at Federer's serve, Federer's circular path is 45 degrees. It's not vertical. And when you have that lasso type of thinking, again, this is all about your swing thought, or my job is not to be right, but my job is to be helpful. So, because a coach who's right, does that really help you? But if a coach who's helpful, that's going to really help you. So think of the lasso being above your head, or the service motion being a lasso above your head. That'll knock off the birthday hat, right? The racket will pass in over your head. The racket will pass in over the head, and you get a tremendous amount of racket speed that comes from it. All right, let's see who else has grabbed. I will shout you out. Who else? Let's see. Who else has grabbed the first link in the description. If you're on your phone, tap the screen. The title of this live will come up. Tap the title. The description will pop up. Grab the fix 20 common mistakes that are holding you back from winning more matches. It's free. And I will shout you out when you do so. All right. So we already had 4 people grab it, which is awesome. So thank you so much. All right, let's see what other questions we got. Teach continental grip for the backhand. What do you think about the corner like you teach for the backhand volley? Um, I do not teach a continental grip. The bottom hand. I'm sorry. I was thinking the top hand. My fault. What do you think about the corner of the continental and the eastern backhand grip, like you teach for the backhand volley? No, way too far. In fact, I don't really teach. I mean, let me say this. I'll teach it, but to really get into like the nitty gritty, I don't use a continental grip on my backhand, on my bottom hand. On the bottom hand, and yes, my strings are broken. Um, my hand is on the corner between a continental and an eastern forehand. Do not. I mean, if somebody's like their feet are in the sand, like they're not moving, they're not budging. And there's like, nope, Ryan, I want to be between a continental and an eastern backhand grip on my two-handed backhand. To each their own. The problem with that though is now the contact point is way out in front. See, as you change the grip more on your backhand, the contact point becomes out here. That's why on a two-hander you can play the ball late, but on the one-hander, when you late, you have to go with a slice. So because an Eastern backhand plays the ball out here because that's where your strength is. Your strength here's where you contact a one-handed backhand. Here's where you contact a two-handed backhand. You contact a two-handed backhand more next to you. You contact a one-handed backhand more out in front. Using a farther grip than a continental with your bottom hand on a two-handed backhand just results in the contact point being way out here, and there's really no strength and power out here typically for a two-handed backhand. So let that ball come deeper into the zone. What is the one big tip for a better forehand? I already talked about it, but I'll tell you this: it is a make or break tip, and it is what you're doing with your non-hitting hand. If you have video footage of your forehand, what's up, Manu? Thanks so much. What I want you to look for is where is your non-hitting hand? Do you look like you're waving to the opponent? So a simple drill would be to just bump a ball against the wall and wave, right? Because when you take the racket back, you should take the racket back with your non-hitting hand, but you can't drop the non-hitting hand then. You're going to take the racket back with both hands, but then you're going to move it forward as the racket drops. Notice my non-hitting hand is making this move. You take the racket back like this, but then you can't drop it. It's got to clear and go forward. And as it clears, the racket drops. And then when you hit, you're waving, right? So I'm waving to the opponent as I bump the ball. So just a simple drill you can do in your garage or in your basement. Get a foam ball, get a mini racket, and just wave to the wall. You look at Leighton Hewitt at contact. You look at um, Djokovic at contact. It's crazy. They literally look like they're waving to the opponent, and it's not luck. It's not just it's whatever. To each their own. There is a direct correlation between the height of the non-hitting hand at contact and the level of the player. Low level players have low non hitting hands at contact. High level players, their hand is up here looking like they're waving because when you drop the non hitting hand, it impedes. Another drill I want you to practice if you struggle to hit topspin on your forehand and backhand, you can try this. Try hitting the south pole of the ball with the top edge of the racket. If you think about on a serve, have you ever had a coach teach you to like hit the edge, right? To hit the frame of the racket? Well, guess what happens when you do that? It teaches you to come up on edge and be supinated, and then you can pronate. Well, you can do the same thing on your serve. When you hit, I'm sorry, on a forehand, when you hit, try hitting the south pole of the ball. So here comes the ball, and you're going to try to hit the south pole of the ball, the very bottom, with the top frame of the racket. What does that do? It gets your racket to travel up as your strings are facing forward. And that's how you get topspin. you get topspin and you spin that way. So you try that 5 times. 2 of the times you'll hit the frame. You got it, Manu. 2 of the times you hit, you'll actually hit the south pole, and the ball, maybe if you're lucky, will land on your head. 2 other times out of 5, you'll swing and miss, right? Like you just will not time it right. But about 1 out of 5 times you do this on a ball machine. Try to hit the south pole, whether it's your backhand, one handed, two handed, doesn't matter. Try spinning up try to aim hitting the bottom of the ball with the top edge, but you'll accidentally spin right up the back of the ball, and you will spin the ball for incredible topspin. Now, I love the detractors like, oh, but then you get too much spin. If someone doesn't know how to hit topspin and they can't hit topspin ever, and now they have too much spin, isn't that a nice problem to have? So obviously everything's on a scale. So yes, do you want to go straight up and get no power? Of course not. But for people who hit totally flat, whether backhands or forehands, it's a nice problem to have. I'd love to have bedhead. All right, that'd be a nice problem to have, or have to buy hair products. Boy, wouldn't that be a nice problem to have? But the goal here is when you hit the bottom of the ball with the top edge, you're training yourself how to go up with your strings facing forward, which is how you hit topspin. So try that. That is really going to help you hit topspin if you're someone who struggles hitting topspin. How can you disguise your drop shots when hitting a backhand or forehand? Okay, so Joe, I'm going to help you out with this because I want to get to the source of your question. The reason Joe is asking, how can you disguise your drop shots, is because he's finding that when he doesn't disguise the drop shot, the opponent easily gets to the ball. So that's actually the problem. It isn't the disguise. The problem is, hey, when I hit a drop shot, my opponent easily gets to it. So Joe correctly is thinking, how can I remedy this? Well, what you have to do is do what Alcaraz does. See, if you notice what Alcaraz does, and I just did no ball jokes. Hey, what's up, Robert? What's up? Hey, good to see you, Bob. I didn't register that it was you. Yeah, hey, you know how it is. My wife and Kimberly, they got ball is beautiful, right? Right, Bob? So here's what you have to understand. It's one of my students who is saying that. We used to be good looking, Bob. So what you have to do, or maybe you were, what you have to do is you have to understand that doesn't Alcaraz doesn't have success with his drop shot because he disguises it, right? Alcaraz has success with his drop shot because he does it when the opponent is back and he is up. So instead of worrying about disguising your drop shot, which is very difficult to do, which requires you, if you're disguising it, you're holding your topspin grip and at the last second changing to a volley grip, and very difficult to do. It is much easier to simply push your opponent back. And you do that by lobbing a bit, hitting a bit of a moon ball. Your opponent moves back, and I know we always say, yeah, but my opponent would just take it on the rise. Who are you playing, Agassi? Your opponent just takes the ball on the rise? No, they don't. They don't just take the ball on the rise. Your opponents are moving back all the time. Sinner was moving back all the time in the Roland Garros final. I just analyzed for you members. I just analyzed their match this past week, the Wednesday night class. So members of my website, 2MinuteTennis.net, I teach you weekly in a private group Zoom class. It's really fun. And so the last couple of weeks, we've been analyzing the finals matches. First, it was the women's final singles, then the women's doubles. Last Wednesday was the men's final, and then this coming Wednesday is going to be the men's doubles final for Roland Garros. That we go through it and we see what we can learn and apply to our own game. What you saw countless times was when Sinner was far back behind the baseline, that's when Alcaraz would step up and hit the drop shot, and it wouldn't even be a disguise. He wouldn't even disguise it. I mean, he would disguise it sometimes, but not every time, because you don't need to disguise the drop shot when your opponent is far back. You could tell them, hey, I'm going to drop shot, and you can't get to it because you're starting back at the fence, right? So if you're someone who's working on your drop shot and you want a more effective drop shot, think of how to get them to go to the back curtain or go to the back fence. then your drop shot doesn't have to be amazing. If you're just drop shotting because you want to, well, are you noticing that your opponent is up on the baseline? So then when you go for the drop shot, they easily get there, they contact above net level, and then they drive it? Or do you think of the drop shot as the second shot, right? Give them the old 1-2, right? The drop shot's the two. What's the one? The one is hit a moon ball that moves them back. Now they hit short. You step in. Now you go for the drop shot, Joe, and you don't have to disguise it. The reason we are not succeeding with our drop shots isn't because we're not disguising. It's because we're not pushing our opponent back first, then hitting the dropper where they have like 20 extra feet to get to the ball. Bury them deep. You got it, Manu. Bury them deep. Let's see what we got here. The disguise removes the potency. And I would agree with that. I would agree with that. 3-month beginner, awesome. Last month, I've added practicing a kick serve. It screwed up my flat slice. Should I continue to practice the kick or wait to get more consistent? Oh, 100%. Get rid of the topspin. You don't need a topspin serve. Like you could go the next 10 years and not need a topspin serve. We are teaching drop shots, Jason. Well, I'm not teaching drop shots as much as I'm teaching you how to set it up so you have more success. That's somebody asked, should I disguise my drop shot? And I said, no. The problem isn't that you're tipping your pitches or they can read your cards, in poker. That's not the problem. The problem was you didn't push them back first, so you had to hit an Alcaraz drop shot, which all of us combined, we can all pull. I'll speak for myself. I Alcaraz has more athleticism in his pinky than I do my entire body. So yeah, I'm not trying to hit any shots like Alcaraz, other than I'm going to follow what he does strategically. Push the opponent back. Then the drop shot is just a short ball. Then your opponent's chasing that ball down. Even if they get there, you've moved up, and then you can little pop over their head or go right past them. Yeah. Where to stand second serve and doubles if partner serving. Where to stand for a second serve in doubles if the partner is serving. Yeah. Okay. Are you in Australia there, B man, based on the mate, or where are you? So you're playing doubles. You what? Okay. You have to be careful. If you watch the women's final doubles at Roland Garros, what you saw was that when Sarah Irani, I think is her name, right? Irani, when she was serving, Jasmine was back here. When Irani was serving, Jasmine was back behind the baseline. She wanted nothing to do with that ball. It's basically Irani's serve is not strong, and if Jasmine's up here, she's going to get crushed with that ball. So she's just going to start back here, so she doesn't have to deal with that. Now, is that extreme? Yeah, that's pretty extreme. But they won the French, so who cares, right? But you could start on the service line. You could be like a little bit instead of the middle of the box. You can move back a little bit. You just want enough time to react to their shot. But if you just want to start all the way back, I'm good. Don't stand in no man's land. That's where the ball's going to bounce, and then you're just dealing with balls at your feet. So the farthest I would say is either move back to the service line to buy yourself time, or if you want to go farther, just go all the way back so you're dealing with a ground stroke. Good question. That was awesome. All right, guys. Let's see. Let's see if anyone else has grabbed the top 20 or the fixed 20 mistakes that are causing you to lose matches. Let's see. Looks like we got a couple more here. Is that Paseando? I'm not sure. Who else has grabbed Olivier? Yes. Oh, and you want me to contact you about getting your technique analyzed? Sure. I'll send you an email. Happy to do that. And is it comma? Karna? Sorry, there's something on my screen. No, it's comma, I think. So awesome. So I will contact you as well. Just reading the people who clicked the link. Great. Awesome. And some of you were asking about learning more about having me analyze your serve or forehand or match play. So for those, I will send you a text or I'll send you an email. Only one serve, no tops to slice. Should I only tap this with a forehand grip for the second serve? No, you want a slice serve. You know what's so funny is hidden in plain sight is the most valuable serve for everyone to learn. And it's the most valuable for coaches to teach, and it's the most valuable for students to learn. And it is the slice serve. When players ask me to analyze, have you ever been to John and Patty's in Ocean City? Are you talking New Jersey or Maryland? Because we're going to Ocean City in a week. We're going to for a week's vacation. So we're going to Ocean City, New Jersey. So I will go to John and Patty's. Do you own it? Do you work there? Are you there now? We'll be there in a week. So yeah, we go in a week. So back to the question at hand, the slice serve, the flat serve, and the topspin serve get all the limelight. Everyone wants a flat serve. Everyone wants a topspin serve, right? No, it's just the best. Oh, I'll go to it. I'll go to it. I'll tell you this: the slice serve is the star of the show. The slice serve is the most valuable serve to own. You can hit it fast. You can hit it for your first and second serves. It's accurate, and your opponents hate it because you're going to make a lot of them. You can get the ball to curve into the body or pull them off the court or pull them down the tee, and then you open up the other side. And the reason why the slice serve is so valuable is because it works so beautifully with the continental grip. So if you're like, for you coaches, if you have a student who's got a forehand grip and you're giving them a continental and then having them learn like pronation hitting flat serves, like what are we doing? When you get a continental grip for the first time, you're learning how to cut the ball. So the key here to not hitting the ball out is you just don't want to swing towards your target. Let me show you this. So let's say this is my target, right? So I'm trying to hit the ball right here against the wall between the breaker box closet for the house and the YouTube play button. So my goal is to hit the ball right here, right? If you have a forehand grip, then what you have to do is swing towards your target. You swing directly toward the target, meaning your racket tracks toward the direction the ball is going. So after you hit, you see the racket tracking out toward the ball. Okay. But when you have a continental grip, a lot of players, they don't know that you're not supposed to swing towards your target anymore. So what you need to do if you're going to hit the ball here, if you're right-handed, you need to swing toward this window. If you're a lefty, you need to swing toward this banister. Meaning, when you hit, especially for the first time, when you hit with a continental grip, you cannot swing towards your target. Because if you swing toward your target, the ball will not go where you want it to go with a continental grip. The pros do not swing toward their target on a flat serve, a slice serve, or a topspin serve. Because on all serves, they're putting spin on the ball. And the way you put spin on the ball is having one edge in front. And when you hit with one edge in front, that points the strings somewhere else other than where you're swinging. Now, I am right-handed. I know the video makes it look like I'm a lefty, but everything's reversed with the front camera. I'm going to swing toward the banister here. Watch where the ball goes when I swing toward the banister. Just spoiler alert, the ball's going to go right there, just so you know. I'm going to swing toward the banister. Look where the ball went. I'm swinging that way, but the ball is not going that way. Why? Because in tennis, the ball goes where your strings point, not where your racket travels. That's not 100% true because, of course, there's incidence and reflection, but on the serve, it is. On the serve, the ball goes where your strings point, not where your racket travels, right? So, where you're facing, where you're traveling, two different things. I'm facing you, but I'm traveling this way, right? I'm facing you, but I'm traveling this way. I'm facing you, but I'm traveling this way or this way. Where you face and where you travel are two different things. So when you hit a slice serve, you're trying to cut the ball. And yes, there's pronation, and I explained that at the beginning. I'm going to bypass that at the moment. The goal here is if you're if you're left-handed, you swing toward the stairs and your strings face the target. If you're right-handed, sorry, I'm going to have to do this lefty because the video is reversed. I'm going to swing. Oh, this is going to be ugly. I'm going to try to hit a slice serve, swinging toward that window, and the ball is going to go. Oh, goodness. Hey, not bad, right? Not bad for doing it left-handed and making it look like right-handed. So you don't swing toward your target. Just like on a topspin forehand, you're swinging toward the sky. Now, not straight up, but there's a low to high component. On a slice backhand, you're swinging toward the ground with your racket. The ball doesn't go where your strings point. The racket goes where I'm sorry, the ball doesn't go where your racket travels. The ball goes where your strings point. In golf, they have the saying, the face sends it, the path bends it, right? So where the face is pointing, that's where the ball goes initially, but the path of the club determines the bend that occurs. It's no different in tennis. All right. Be sure that if you would like to fix 20 common mistakes that are costing you matches for free, click the link at the very top of the description. If you're on your phone, tap the screen. You'll see the title of this live stream. Click the title. The description will pop down. Click the top link and grab the top 50 fixes, or not top 50 fixes, that was another program. The fix 20 mistakes that are holding you back from winning more matches. It's free. And let's see if anyone else grabbed. Let's see. Sean, thank you so much, Sean. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see if there are any more. And nope. Okay, good. Let's see how many people have grabbed it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. That's great. Obviously, we got 8 smart people who want to stop making the same mistakes. Look, I see I see the same mistakes over and over and over again. And so I picked these 20 mistakes and grab the link at the very top of the description. It's free because I see it so often. I thought I should just have this as something that people can just go to as a resource that's on my website. It's there anytime you want to rewatch it. It's great. Hey, Ryan, my partner and I have a doubles tournament. Tell us about the I formation, please. Love your work. Oh, I just did. Holy smokes. What do I do to keep my forehand stop being so loopy? It only has spin, no power whatsoever. It always lands on the edge of the service box. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay, one thing that's occurring is on the forehand. The reason you're getting all of that loop is because you have your racket going from too far below your hand to very quickly above your hand. You probably have an extreme grip, which places the contact point out in front, and you're making this move. So here's what I'm going to suggest: 2 basic things. One, don't drop the racket so far below the ball. And 2, try to not have the racket. And I'll do this lefty so it looks righty because you're probably right-handed. Try not to make like this move, but try to keep the racket more to the right of your hand, actually, as weird as that is. It's a swing thought, by the way. You don't actually do it, but it's going to keep this from happening. Keep the racket more to the right of your hand and just go over the shoulder. So don't drop below the ball. Again, this is a swing thought. Feel like you're going to drop even to the ball, and then don't make this move like this windshield wiper, like I'm turning a doorknob, right? Like, don't make this move, because if you're getting a ton of spin and you just shave the ball and the ball's landing super short, you need less spin and more penetration into the ball. And the way you'll do that is by not swinging so far below the ball in a very abrupt upward swing, but a swing that drops more level to the ball where you go more through the ball. And that's when you actually penetrate into the core of the ball and you get compression into the back of the ball. All right, let's see here. What do you think about what do you think about a play style where you hit every ball on the rise? It's my goal for my play style. Tricky Ricky. So here's one thing you got to be careful of. You do not determine if you take a ball on the rise, your opponent does. So if you're taking every ball on the rise, you have to stand in no man's land. That's the only, you have to be out of position. You have to stand here. You would have to play just standing in no man's land. That's the only way you could do that. Because if you're behind the baseline and the ball lands on the service line, you can't take it on the rise. If the ball lands in the middle of no man's land, you really can't take the ball on the rise. You can only take a ball on the rise when the ball lands within 2 or 3 feet of the baseline over and over again. And there's not a single person in the world who hits all their balls near the baseline. Just doesn't happen. Never. Or otherwise, we'd see the pros constantly hitting 2 to 3 feet from the baseline every time, and it doesn't happen. So, what your goal shouldn't be to take every ball on the rise. Your goal is every ball that should be taken on the rise, you are. That's the way you want to think of it. But that's your goal of taking the ball on the rise a lot. That's great. You got to play close to the baseline, but when your opponent hits short, there's really no way to take the ball on the rise. Yeah, you got it. How do you land behind the line in platform serve? I land in front. Uh, uh, Beach? I don't know exactly what you're asking. Like how to land behind the line in the platform serve. I land in front. You should land in front. The only way you would land behind is if your toss is too straight up, and then you have to kick your feet back in order to lean into the shot. So if your feet are going back, that means your toss is going straight up into the air. Good question. Do you approve of a player? What's up, Manu? Do you approve of a player talking to their coach during the match, in between the breaks, or does it remove the effect of player working the match out on their own? Um, what I've noticed is it doesn't seem very healthy. It's a very toxic. Like I feel like anytime I've seen an interaction with a coach and a player, it seems pretty toxic. Maybe I'm just watching the videos that get all the attention, but it just doesn't. Could you imagine Kyrgios? Like if he had a coach who he actually respected. But could you imagine Kyrgios talking to a coach in between? So stupid, man. Like that was my terrible. I don't even know what accent that was. But like he would just be berating himself, the coach. You're not cheering me on enough. Why aren't you clapping enough? Like I don't know. Um, I like the fact that there's no coaching, but I don't think that the coaching would be very beneficial. I think the coaching is very rah rah. I don't think the coaching is ever very tactical. Maybe it is. I don't know, but you think about in football in timeouts, like they're like everything's very tactical and positioning and um, formations. And in tennis, it's hard because in tennis you give up. So you're talking to a coach during the match. So zero talking. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I would say that, Manu. See, in most sports where there's coaching, you keep possession of the ball. Um, and you hear it in boxing, they've got coaching in between, when they're doing the press and the fixing the cuts and everything, they're talking to the guys and the gals, but uh, I don't know. I think you're better off just letting them fend for themselves. All right, all right. It took a year. Oh, I see. Let's see. And Ryan analysis to realize slice is the way to go. Yep. Have a beautiful arcing ball that goes in consistently. Awesome. What grip do you think is best for a two-handed backhand volley? Hey, what's up, fundamental tennis? Yeah, I am a big fan of the two-handed backhand volley. I think the two-handed backhand volley is just awesome. I think it's great for kids because it gives them the willingness to come to the net because of a strength issue where you'll see like a 7-year-old doing this with their backhand volley and the racket's like wide open. Where on the two in a backhand, they can keep the racket much more like a wall. So when it comes to the grip, top hand on an Eastern forehand, bottom hand in between a continental and an Eastern forehand. I am not a fan of the bottom hand being on a continental because the contact point will be too far out in front. It's one of those things where when you watch pros volley, they don't volley out in front as far as we think. Like we as coaches, we're like, oh, contact out in front. But actually, when you watch the pros, the contact point is actually very much behind them. And That goes with the continental grip. I mean, think about it. Think about a squash shot, or when you're late on the backhand, you go to a slice. The continental grip naturally moves the contact point farther back. The continental grip doesn't work well with contact points out in front, right? That's the interesting thing. You see players or coaches will say continental grip, contact out in front. Well, that doesn't even work with the grip. Like as you go semi-western, then the contact is out in front. And I don't teach a continental grip on volleys, but as you go continental, that puts the contact point more back behind you. So the contact point is actually much farther back on volleys than you think. Now, people say, yeah, but then you're going to have a big backswing. No, the key to getting rid of a big backswing on volleys is elbows out. When your elbows are out away from you, then you'll have a short swing. When your elbows are out, you'll have short swings. When your elbow is in, that's when you get a big swing. And you'll see coaches, they'll put a ball in the armpit and they'll say, okay, volley like that. But look what you're doing. You're putting the racket in a position to lay open. What you want is the elbow out. Like, check this out. Let's say you're a coach and you see someone volley like this. What would you tell them? You would tell them, hey, your swing is too big. Your back swing's too big. But if I take away the racket, look where my hand is. It's next to me. Well, that's not a problem. But the problem is my elbow is low. This is why I don't want you in your ready position with your elbows down at the net. I want your elbows out. When your elbows are out, like you're at a wedding and you're escorting someone down the aisle, when the elbows are out, it gives you small swings. So check this out. The racket's too far back on a volley, right? And you see someone do this, you're like, oh, you're swinging. And then they go like this, right? It's just terrible. The fix for this is to push the elbow out. Notice my hand is not going anywhere. My hand is in the same position, but I'm pushing the elbow away. And when you push the elbow away, that turns the racket from a floor to a wall. So then when they turn, they're like this. This is the key to a small volley, not elbow in, but elbow out. Now, what you'll see is coaches will put their students back up against a fence and they'll say, okay, you volley and don't touch the fence. That's just masking the problem. It's like if I have a headache, it's not because I have an ibuprofen deficiency. Let that roll around in your head for a little bit. When your elbows are out, sure, the ibuprofen, the Advil fixes it, but it's not really the problem. It's not like, oh man, I'm really. You don't go to the doctors and they're looking at your chart, going, "All right, we did the labs, and yeah, you're deficient in iron. You know, like the this and that, and your Advil is low. You know, you need to dose that up." No, they're never going to say that. The problem isn't that your backswing is too large and that you have to put your back up against a fence, because the elbow for that student is still going to be really low. What you need is the elbow out. That's how you create small swings when your elbows are out. Now, we'll talk about this on the backhand. You'll hear coaches sometimes talk about this on the backhand. They'll say, have that back elbow up because that keeps the racket like a wall, right? And so you turn like this. And then if your elbow drops, then the racket's open. Well, how is that any different than on the forehand? Whether it's a low volley, whether it's a high volley, get your elbows out. Your racket will be like a wall. You'll have a nice laid back wrist. So it's nice and strong. And then you can take the wall to the ball. All right, let's see. Let's see. I said I would shout you out. If somebody grabbed the Vishal, thank you so much for grabbing the 20 mistakes that you can fix for free, just clicking the top link in the description. If you're on your phone, just tap the screen and you'll see the title of this live. Tap that title, the description pops up. Click the link that is the first line, and it's about fixing 20 mistakes that are costing you matches. It's a free program on my website. You can watch it after you're done. All right. We got three. Thanks, Lart. Thanks so much. That's interesting that you teach a one-handed backhand volley with a 1.5 and 2. Yeah, fundamental tennis. You're exactly right. So very good. So you know me better than I thought. No, but I'm just saying. Yes, the contact point, just like any one-hander, the contact point on a one-hander, ground stroke or volley, is more in front than on a two-hander. The two-handed backhand ground stroke, the contact point is here. Where on a one-hander, the contact's out here, and that's all grip driven. Your grip decides your contact points. Can you explain what to do if another person has a very powerful serve and what to do in singles? Oh my gosh, you got it. 76-27. Of course. Yep. Very easy. Very, very easy. Why am I crooked? Why am I? There we go. That's better. So you're playing someone with a really fast serve. So the blue here is the server. This is you. You're the red. And you're going to stand really far back. I mean, really far back. So I'm going to move that as like far as I can. Stand so far back that you take all the time you need and then you can handle it easily. You see Alcaraz during Roland Garros final against Sinner? Alcaraz is nowhere near the baseline returning serve. Like way back here. So much so that you thinking, should Sinner do an underhand serve like Kyrgios against Nadal at Wimbledon 10 years ago? Like that's how you take away the speed of the serve. That's why the flat serve in rec tennis isn't all it's cracked up to be because the opponent can just stand farther back. This isn't baseball when you're in the batter's box and you can't, when you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I had more time. No, you can just stand 10, 15 feet farther back and take all the time away. Now, here's what people say. Well, yeah, Ryan, but what if they slice you out wide? Well, at least get them to do something different. Because if you stay up here, are they going to slice it out wide? No, they're going to blast it right at you and you can't handle it. So stand as far back as you need to, awkwardly far back, and watch how you have plenty of time. What you have to then do is aim high over the net and deep down the middle. High over the net because you have a very far distance that ball's got to travel. And you aim to the middle to not give them any angle on their second shot. Manu, you're always saying in like 8 words what it takes me 100 words to say. Standing back decreases the potency of the powerful serve. You got it. Um, Pedro, let's see what we got here. For a right-handed player with a two-handed backhand, should the left arm be the one that generates more power? Should it be like a drive with the left hand? Yes. Yep. And think of playing the ball late. I know I'm a two-handed backhand. I love my two-hander. It's my favorite shot. It's my most consistent shot. Uh, I love it. I've always, I'm 46. I have loved my two-handed backhand more than my forehand since I was 12. I started playing when I was 5, but I'd say when I was 12 years old, like my backhand wing was my favorite shot to hit. I love returning serve. It's my favorite thing, other than the two-hander. But I know for me, if my backhand's feeling a little, I like to play the ball later. I am not a pro tennis player. I don't pretend to be a pro tennis player. I maxed out at a 5.0 level. I was benchmarked at a 5.0 in my early 20s, which means you can't appeal it. So I was like stuck at 5.0 with no appeal because it was fun. It was more fun to be a 4.5 because then I could play on my like local club team where I coached. But once I got bumped to 5.0 and I was not allowed to appeal, I was not going to drive to Cherry Hill, New Jersey or Princeton, New Jersey and play on a 5.0 team. It just wasn't worth it. So I basically stopped playing at that point and I just taught. All right. Fun. In doubles, if my partner is a little weaker than I am, would you recommend that I try to cover some or most of the game and just leave him to his own game? Well, that isn't ideal. But what you might want to do is just have your partner stay back. If they're really weak, then just if you're returning serve, have your partner back. And if you're serving, have your partner back. Don't even let them be up at the net and be someone to, a duck out of water and they're just getting crushed. I would much rather them be back at the baseline where maybe they feel stronger if that's where they want to be. They have plenty of time to react to your opponent's strong shots. And if your opponent hits a weak ball, they can always run in and kind of attack it. But instead of them getting crushed at the ball and being a dead duck, I would rather you have them play both back. Now, is it easy to talk somebody into that? No. People are like, "Oh, don't you think I can handle my own?" And you're thinking, no, I don't think you can handle your own, but I'm stuck with you in this league, and the team captain has me playing with you. So I'm just trying to figure out how to win. So have fun with that conversation, Manu. All right, gang, I have got to run. It is almost dinner time. Really quick. So if during this live stream you have gotten any value whatsoever, I've been on here for 75 minutes. You know what I want you to do? I want you to go into the description. Yeah, you got it, Manny. I want you to go into the description. And if you're on your phone or tablet, tap the screen. The title of this video pops up of this live stream. Tap that. The description then pops up. Look at the first line in the description right now. What you will see is that it says, fix 20 mistakes that are costing you matches. Click here. Click right there and check out that program. It's for free. And it's 20 common mistakes that I see all the time that hold people back from playing their best tennis. So, as promised, I am going to call out those players. What's up, Dan? Thank you, Dan, for grabbing the fix. 20 mistakes. All right, good. I think I've got everybody. So thank you all so much. I always love doing these lives. I'm so glad that I got to stay on here for 75 minutes. This is amazing. So any questions, send me an email, ryan@2minutetennis.net. It's my name, Ryan, at my website, 2minutetennis.net. That's my email. If you have any questions, you want me to analyze you have a SwingVision account and you want us to become SwingVision friends, you want to send me videos of you playing and you want me to analyze them for you, just send me an email. We can even hop on the phone and I could talk to you about it more. If you live in the US, if you're outside the US, we can hop on the like WhatsApp, do a WhatsApp call. But thank you all so much for trusting me to help you with your game. And you got this.